No,
All right.
outside of Kigali. And,
Good morning. I think everybody can hear me. I'll
We will
project
check.
right into this microphone. They'll hear me down the block. So you've all been very busy this month. If you can see, this is now the extended largest binder we have available. So it's been a busy May and through early June. So I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Executive Committee on Wednesday, June 6, 2022. It's about 9:05. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Bates,
Bates here.
Berman,
Berman here.
Ford,
Ford present.
Frost,
Fry's here.
Davis,
Davis here.
Gomes,
Comes here.
Kenyon,
Here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Martin,
Martin present.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Strathman present.
Sturgis,
Present.
Here.
Shepro,
Shepro present.
Pirog.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Very good, Mr. Surges. Your timing is impeccable. Your name was called and you were sitting down just right in.
He was waiting outside the door for that.
For the grand entrance, yes. Ms. Molina, could you please do the pledge for us?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. It's always such a nice time for reflection when we do the pledge. May I please have the approval of the May 4th, 2022 minutes?
Caius move.
Thank you, Mr. Caius.
Fry's second.
Mr. Kenyon, thank you. Are there any changes or additions to those minutes? I don't see anything. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Frost, Gomes,
Comes yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Pirog.
Yes.
Yes.
It is now time for our financial reports. Who's here to give them? Right, we'll suspend those for obvious reasons. And I'm sure that we brought up very quickly. Julie is on holiday, so she will not be presenting her report. She'll be presenting it to the executive committee from now on. Oh, Julie, are you online?
Yes, I am here. I am.
Very good.
Didn't want to miss this, my first executive committee report. So I will take a couple of minutes to update you on the Public Information Office. We continue to build social media. We have 285 followers now on Facebook, another 70 people following us. In the last 30 days, we've reached over 18,000 people just on Facebook alone. I don't have the statistics for Twitter. That doesn't do as well for us. Instagram is starting to build up. We're trying to attract a younger crowd there. Again, we're using unique content that we get from people throughout the county that have stories to share. We listen to committee meetings. We report on things that have been going on as the county board approves things. And then we share different things from different departments like the sheriff and the coroner. And we're now following all the counties or the communities in Kane County that have social media sites, and they're now starting to share our content, which is really exciting. We've pushed out content on recycling, the tree initiative over at the Judicial Center. We did a job posting for the circuit clerk. We did an internship posting for the auditor's office. We've done stuff for the health department, the coroner, and the treasurer for his property taxes. We're working on a press release, not really a press release, but a media release for Big Rock. So we're just trying to find a lot of different ways to attract people to our social media sites that show them, again, what Kane County is doing. We recently launched the Capture Kane County photograph collection event. You'll see that on the homepage. inviting people around Kane County who are shutterbugs to submit their favorite photo of Kane County. Hopefully we can use that again to showcase on our homepage when we start to really dig in and try to rearrange how that looks, make it a little bit more user friendly. We had a couple of great events, two in particular. Pace Bus brought 2 Pace buses here and gave us a check for $200,000. That was great. And then we did our salute to our COVID response partners over at the VAC Center, which had a great turnout and everybody seemed very pleased by that. I personally took part in a podcast with the former mayor of St. Charles, talking a little bit about my position here as public information officer. I also appeared before a group of public relations folks, and I talked to them about starting up the public information office here in Kane County and how we're doing. I also now belong to a regional group of my counterparts in DuPage, Will, Lake, and McHenry. We call ourselves the Collier County Communicators. And so that's been fun to kind of share our different jobs and things that we do. And the final thing is, so we are almost ready to relaunch Kane County Connects. As you know, Rick retired. He will be at the county board meeting next week, so we can properly recognize him. But it is now under the Public Information Office, and Brenda Bushbacher's worked really, really hard to redesign the newsletter. I think it's, while we can't replace what Rick did, I think it's a little easier to read. It's a little cleaner. I think everyone will be pleased by it, and we hope to get our first newsletter out next Tuesday. So there's been a lot going on, and I'll entertain any questions.
Yes, Mr. Surges.
Madam Chair, Surges here. I just wanted to point out that for those of us that are LinkedIn people that look to LinkedIn for business communications, I do believe that Mark Van Kerkhoff really does do a great job at posting there and keeping us abreast of I don't want to say commercial, but I'm struggling to find the right terms. Business related items. And I think Mark really does a nice job with that.
Good, good. Thank you. And I think, could you speak, Julie, about the front page that the coroner was highlighted on? And that was due to, I think, your efforts in that press release regarding the burial for the unclaimed individuals?
Well, sure. We wrote up a press release. Brenda went over and took some pictures at the event, and we pushed that out. We also shared his initial press release, which talked about the fact that the 40 individuals would be memorialized close to Memorial Day last month. So I think we helped him get some attention for that. There's an upcoming story that we're going to kind of launch with Kane County Connects. It's very exciting. I shouldn't say exciting, but very, it's a good piece coming from the coroner's office regarding the cremains and people who finally are reunited with their family members.
Okay, yeah, good. Yes, again.
One other
Mr.
question,
Surges.
Surges. Julie, I would be interested to know, when you came on and we created the position, there was a bit of confusion as to how many other communication people we had in the different departments. And we understood that the county-wides had their own and weren't willing to relinquish those, but within the board control, there were several other departments. How is that integration going or not going, or is there any activity there whatsoever? And what's your opinion on that?
So you're talking about crossover, like for instance, with Chris Nelson, who's the public information officer for the state's attorney's office?
Well, I guess I'm looking at this as two different buckets. The county-wide elected, such as, the state's attorney, the coroner, the sheriff's office, kind of have their own information officer, my understanding, and I don't know the individuals, but those departments that are within the county control, like the health department, equally have their own. Do you categorize those into subordinates to you, separate to you? What's your hierarchy on that, if you will?
Well, I've reached out to all of them and offered my assistance, and they're starting to slowly utilize the office. Like they know kind of now what I can do for them. Like the auditor reaching out, and I know that's an elected official, but she really needed something pushed out on social media and put on the homepage regarding a paid internship that they offer. That's really great. And so I took that and no problem, put that out. Same with the circuit clerk. I wouldn't say that every elected official in the county has their own specific spokesperson. They have people who have been doing a great job of putting out basic press releases when they're necessary. I know that the health department does have a person dedicated to public information. I guess that's going to change shortly. But beyond that, I just work with anybody who wants my help at this point. I've just opened my door and said, here I am, and this is what I can do. And I really welcome anyone to share content with me, things that they want pushed out, things that we can design for them and put out on social media. I mean, I'm really just kind of, like I said, I've opened my door and I said, I'm here. So, and people are starting to take advantage of that now.
Thanks for the team building. Appreciate that.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Julie, to Ken Shepro, to follow up what my colleague asked, do you feel as if part of your job is to like take over some of the functions that all these other people are doing to some extent and focus them in one office, or what do you feel about that?
Well, again, I don't want to Bigfoot anybody. And that was a big priority for me, that I didn't want to come in and be like, I'm here, I'm taking over. So like I said, I've slowly been building this, meeting with different department heads, showing them what I can do, trying to find different ways that I can help people, and then just leave the door open to them if they need my help. I know that there's been a couple of people who like to do their own press releases, and they've been doing them for years, and they just make sense. I think the county clerk is a good example of that. They have a system down, and they know when they needed to send things out. So I've just been helping with reposting those kinds of things on Facebook and putting them up on the homepage when necessary. But so I guess the question, I've been trying to be methodical about how I've set up this office. So personally, I wasn't overwhelmed and wasn't able to do the job you expected me to do. So now I'm starting to really kind of get my feet underneath me. I think with the help of Brenda Bushbacher, we've really, we kind of know exactly what to do. And I just want to get King County Connects up and running again. That's, it makes me really nervous, and I'm very excited to relaunch it, but it's going to take a little bit more time than I expected, and out of my office. So I just kind of, again, I'm going to get my feet under that too, and then go from there.
Thank you.
And I do have to say that Julie is taking on additional responsibilities with some of our departments to be sensitive to, making sure that we don't pay people, how should I say this, that we work towards personnel efficiency. So that if there's any duplication and as appropriate, we'll be transitioning that to Julie's office. Slowly per department at a time, if necessary.
Madam Chair, Bates, please.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
I'm not sure, maybe Ms. Mann mentioned this, but she did a great job helping us promote our, get volunteers for our tree planting at the solar site. Did you mention that, Julie?
I did mention that we did help push that out at the Judicial Center. Yeah, we again got some great pictures. Made a call, a second round for volunteers, and seemed to get some reaction that way. So I'm glad it worked out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
I'm totally supportive of consolidating where we can, just simply from an economic standpoint. But I think the other more holistic concern that I have is that I would be more comfortable if the county spoke with a unified voice. And I don't, the different departments acting as silos, to me, creates a potential, which I think we've seen happen, a potential of conflict. And I think the county's voice, to the degree we can speak with one voice, it's much more productive. That makes more sense. It in a sense forces us to in fact speak with one voice, and it also and it kind of makes the public think we know what we're doing, which, anytime you can do that would be refreshing.
That's always good. And I agree with what you have to say. It's very important that we do speak with one tone. Of course, dissenting voices are always welcomed, but there is a way to modify that for public communication to make sure that there is clarity in that communication. So as Julie begins to really, Julie, you've been here for what, 4 months now?
Since December, so.
Since
yeah.
December, okay,
Right.
6 months. So it's going to take a full year since this is new for us, to be able to really work and have her be able to develop her team and the connections that she has with all our diverse departments and elected officials.
Right. And I do want to again stress that I'm reaching out to each department, and I think slowly they understand what I can do for their office. So I think, Mr. Martin, we are starting to speak with one voice coming from one office. It's just, people have their own way of doing things. And when they realize that I can help with that or help with a special project, then that's when they come to me and we can work out that relationship. But I have reached out, I've gone and I've met with people, I've talked to them about what I can do. So the door is wide open and I'm happy to jump in. People just need to come talk to me about what they need though. I listen to all the committee meetings. Like I said, reach out to the departments. I look at the press releases that they're putting out. So I'm there, and I think it's working well right now. I really do.
Okay, Mr. Surges.
Madam Chair, Surges, this is one of those situations where it's so fresh and so new that I would bet that if you polled half a dozen of us, we all know exactly what we want and we have no idea how to get there. And you might, if you poll a dozen people, they might have different destinations. So I know everybody needs patience on this, and if we can just continue conversation so that we're all enlightened, that would be just refreshing.
Oh.
So thank you so much.
Oh, good. And Julie is always there and she's always available and incredibly responsive. I have to say that her team is working very effectively. So thank you, Julie. Is there anything else? Okay, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any public comment? I'm not aware of any. And I see nobody online. So let's move to our old business. And I believe Ms. Gums is going to be talking about the legislative liaison.
Just took a bite of my granola bar. Pardon me. Thank you, Gums here. We have, at the legislative committee level, gave consent to hire Mr. Dan Shulman. All the paperwork has been drawn up. During that presentation, I think there was a little feedback from folks that they weren't sure.
Michelle,
This-
can you put this a little closer to your mic?
Yeah, sorry. There's a little feedback that folks weren't sure if this was going to be something that they were truly interested in or not. But this is a temporary trial period. We've got him as a gift. I've reached out to folks that he previously worked for. I've spoken with the alderman at the city of Aurora who lost him. They're sad to have lost him and said that he did an excellent job. Addressing the issue also of our organizations that we are members of. As this is a trial issue, I think we should maintain what we've got going to see if we're comfortable going forward with Mr. Shulman and see how it goes. So I would ask consent to hire Mr. Shulman.
Mr. Surges.
Mr. Gums, just per our conversation, this was a really small dollar figure, right? I'm thinking like 17,000.
Well,
that-
it's 7,500 split.
Mhm.
Okay,
So 7,500 through November 3rd. I believe it's November 30th. I don't have that in front of me, but I believe it's November 30th. And, if we love them, we love them. If
it
we
was a
don't,
really, but it was a very reasonable figure.
correct.
Absolutely.
And the benefits, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see, like you said earlier, we have to see it. But after talking with the folks that have worked with him, there's a couple people that did like him, like everything else. There's people that don't like, but the majority said he was fantastic. So we've got opportunities that way we may not be aware of that he'll be able to find. Things that might not be good for us that he may be able to share with us. And I believe it'll be a good thing. I think everybody will be satisfied. So, and if they're not, then we can revisit that.
Yes, Ms. Molina.
Just an informational question. When does the state legislature go back into session?
They have veto session in November.
And November, so his contract expires November 30th.
30th, right? But so getting ahead of that, you have to get ahead of the veto session. So they have, you know, as a lobbyist, they would get ahead of the veto session.
But veto session only pertains to things that are currently have been approved and are looking to, or have been, that the governor has decided not to sign and they're going to override his veto. I'm just on a practical standpoint, $7,500 might not sound like a lot of money, but in reality, what will we get out of it if veto session is in November? I understand the whole like relationship portion of it, but I guess just to put it out there, there's not going to be any action this year in the legislature. So relationship building is important. And I think he has relationships built in Springfield, which I think is important. But I mean, I think we should be understanding that we're not going to get too much out of him from now until November. So just make sure that our expectations aren't, you know, sky high, because there really isn't going to be a lot to be done other than really relationship building and understanding what the county needs are and how he can fit those needs.
I can comment on some of that, on his proposal of what he's going to help us out with, if I may. And then please, everybody else can pull in. We know that we got $17.5 million in the budget, and he's going to work hard to make sure that he gets that money released to us. You have to remember that this is all part of a process, so that we'll be advocating to get that money released as quickly as possible, and his help is going to be instrumental in making that much more efficient. He's also going to assist us in seeing how else we may get the additional $17.5 million to completely retire that. So far, he helped us get the original 17.5, so his compensation's already been paid. We're kind of ahead of the game, and that was pro bono. His introductions were completely pro bono. He's going to help monitor key legislation that's going to affect the county, both proposed and current. He's going to fight, and this is something that we all need to fight for, the local government distributive fund, make sure that that funding comes back to us appropriately. He's going to also make us aware, because there's a lot of federal money available right now, because he's not just going to work with state legislator, he's going to work on the federal level of what grants are going to be available for us in Kane County that we can apply for and help us advocate for those. And oftentimes we need representatives to help push that through. So he will assist with that. He's also going to be partnering with Metro West Council of Governments on key legislation and issues. So this is his goal that he's going to assist us with on this next few months. And I believe, no.
Madam Bates, please.
Hold on, Mr. Sturgis and Ms. Bates.
Madam Chair, Sturgis, in terms of a structure for him, will he be answering to or reporting to or working with a specific committee or just the chairman's office, or structurally, how do you envision that?
It'll be both.
What's the best?
It will be both. He'll be in contact with my office, and then he will be reporting monthly to the legislative committee. And Ms. Bates?
I just wanted to say that I've talked to a lot of people who know him and really appreciate his work. And I believe that'll, going along with what you just said, Madam Chair, there's a lot that happens in the off season that prepares bills and motions for the coming session. So I believe this is a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Myrna's points are well received, managing expectations, because in a galaxy far, far away where Springfield is, action doesn't always look like normal action. Things happen differently. And so having somebody that's familiar with how it all works, even leading up to a veto session, can have tremendous value.
Thank you.
Madam Chair Strathman.
Yes, Ms. Strathman.
Yes, I had a little personal experience with Mr. Showman. And when I went to talk to the mayor of Elgin about water needs in King County, when we were dealing with the internal request for the ARPA funds, he went with me and he was very helpful and guided me through a process that was new to me. And so he is available to all of us. And it was a great experience and I learned a lot from him. So I am totally in support of not only having this position, but having him fill the position. I think he will do a great job for us.
Oh, thank you.
I just have Gums. I just have one more thing to add. Additionally, doing a little research, the collar counties, including Cook, McHenry and Kane are the only two that do not have a liaison or lobbyist. So our organizations work for all counties. Our liaison works just for us. So I'm just throwing that out there.
He will be our advocate. Mr. Shepro.
How much are we paying now for membership or whatever in the larger collar counties?
I do not have.
It's approximately 23 to 24,000, I believe.
Okay. And what, could you maybe enlighten us as to what they're not doing for us that Mr. Shulman would be doing?
Well, organizationally, so we have the two UCCI, ISACO. So what they'll do, and I've been in contact with them as well. They have like frequently asked page, right? So you can go to their website and they'll coordinate with Dan, and whatever we come up with as the county, they will also push out. However, you know, we're not on the same scale as Sangamon County, or, you know what I mean? This is a whole nother issue here. So we need somebody specifically that these other organizations, they don't work just for us. So we need somebody to work just for us so that we don't miss these benefits and opportunities. And I think we are missing them because we were only so many people. So I also want to add one more thing in there. I find that if we're not 100% sure that we want to continue with this, if we're not satisfied, I believe keeping these organizational memberships is essential going forward, should we choose to do that. Like, we don't want to cut our nose off, right? So I think there's a lot of things that intersect, but at the same time do different work.
I guess my follow-up is that, I mean, as
Mr.
we
Shepro,
referred to the
Could you, in the microphone, please?
Oh, sorry.
In there.
We'll try that. Is that a lot of what we refer to as the off-season is, and even during the real season or the fall season, is there, we're just being told what's there, what's going on, and you know, bills that are there. And it would seem to me that that is something that the other organizations are already taking care of. And I just wonder how much duplication there may be and what we are doing to avoid paying, you know, multiple organizations to get us the same information.
This, I believe, I think we should have that as a separate discussion, because right now it's about hiring a lobbyist. And if we talk about, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, talk about the value of the three organizations that we're a member of and take a look at those perhaps at the legislative committee to be able to discuss those separately. Because yes, they're organizations that are membership organizations. We have to join to get their benefit. And
Madam Chair Gums, if I may, I really can't answer that pretty quickly. So if you don't mind. So the way I see it, envision it, is keeping these organizations doing what they've always done, which is letting us know what's about to happen, letting us know what other counties want. Mr. Shulman will be doing something very different. He will be advising us after he's dug in and done the work, right? So he's looking, he's finding, he's searching, he's having these communications, and he does a very, I'm told, he does a very detailed report letting us know what's good for us, what's bad for us, what's available and what is not available. The organizations do not do that specifically for us. So There might be a little bit of overlap, but I see them as two very different things.
So we will be getting monthly, strike monthly. So he will be giving us written reports about
Absolutely.
what he's doing.
Yes, once a month. Yes. Ms. Molina.
Just to Mr. Shepherd's question, there's currently 3 organizations that we're a part of, and the annual budget of all 3 is $36,400. The one that's the newest one is the Illinois Association of Counties. That's the one that we joined about 2 years ago. That one is $25,000 annual membership. I guess regarding Mr. Showman, my only, I guess, concern was that I would have wished we would have put it out for an RFP. I would have wanted to see what other lobbyists were out there. We talk a lot about having minority and equity in the county, yet it looks like we just picked somebody that we knew. So I'll go along with whatever the county decides, but I'm really disappointed that we didn't decide to put it out there and see who else was available to assist the county. And I understand I hear from both of you and I know what you have to say. I don't agree with the way this happened. So I hope next time I don't know, I doubt there's going to be a next time because you've already chosen somebody. I wish we would have put it out there to see what other services were available by other lobbyists if this was what the county wanted to do. So I guess to finish what I'm saying, I don't agree with it. So you don't need a vote. You're looking for consent. I'm going to abstain. And I hope we do better next time. Thank you.
And just to clarify, Ms. Molina, his associate, Corin, is Hispanic.
Yes, but again, Madam Chair, we weren't told that. I asked the question now, and now I'm getting an answer. So the fact that this was kind of done under the table, I disagree with, regardless of the party affiliation. I don't think this is how county business should be done. So I put it out there. Thank you for letting me know that, but I wish this would have been said in the beginning when we received, say, a resume by Mr. Showman and see who works for him and what type of business he's done in the past. So
Madam Chair,
that's it.
thank you. I do appreciate that. I think Mr. Showman's was kind of a gift because he left and we needed to snap him up before somebody else did. So that's kind of my opinion on that. I hear what you're saying and I agree. County business should happen in a certain way. This was an opportunity I didn't think we could pass up. And we did address that at legislative committee. So.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Bates.
would it be possible to go out for an RFQ to decide what we should do in November and not automatically renew Mr. Showman's contract in November?
I would like to be able to get through this conversation and then we can go to that next level. So I would prefer to bring this to consensus now and test the waters and how we feel that Kane County having a lobbyist works for you. And then we can see if the RFQ is appropriate, if you'd like to continue this. Remember, if I may, he is not just going to be working for the government center. He's going to be splitting his fees with the coroner, with the sheriff, and with with the state's attorney.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Bates, please. Just to avoid confusion, he's not exactly splitting. I believe he's multiplying. Each government center will be paying him $7,500. It's not
But it's-
$7,500 split 4 ways
No, and he has a separate contract with those entities.
for $7,500 each, correct?
That is accurate.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Shepro was next, and then Mr.
Thank you.
Caius.
Shepro, well, to what Ms. Bates just raised. So how many $7,500 blocks is he going to receive?
4.
4?
4.
So that's a total of $30,000 for the
6 months. 6
the
months.
6 months while the legislature is not in session. And we're also paying $24,000 a year to the state organization, which I believe is a waste of time. And I take your point that that's not for today, but I would think that that would be a discussion that we ought to have. Because my experience with the state county organization is that they are almost entirely oriented toward the needs of smaller counties. And I've always wondered what it is that we derive from that that is uniquely valuable to us. But we're starting to get into a fairly large amount for what would not seem to be a heavy-duty assignment even through the veto session. And to the point about the RFQ, if we waited till after the November to put out an RFQ, then you're handcuffing yourself for the legislative session that will follow in January. So if anybody feels that we ought to be doing that, I think, again, this could be discussed at committee. I would think that you've got to do it earlier than the 1st of December.
Oh, concurred. Yes, Mr. Caius.
Proof positive, if you wait long enough, somebody will say what you're going to do. I just would like to echo, I think that Kane County is unique enough so that we need to have somebody that's speaking for us. I admire what's going on with the state and our organizations, but I think we have the Fox River, and you just go down the line where the toll was taken, addressed. That is a unique thing that no other county in the state has had to address thus far. So I think the uniqueness of it, I'm just looping back around to restate that. It's important.
Mr. Frost.
I just want to point out that we did have a lobbyist, it was a routine thing here for many, many years. And the thought was when we did get rid of them, it was because of the Great Recession. We were trying to cut costs. When we did get rid of them, there was no realistic expectation that the legislative chair could even come close to duplicating what a dedicated lobbyist could do walking the halls of Springfield. Personally, I think $7,500 is a bargain. And lastly, I'll just say that, to illustrate the difference between the associations and the lobbyist, you mentioned the 17.5 million. That's Kane County specific. So these associations aren't going to be looking to help us out with that kind of thing.
No,
So
they did not.
if he brings in 1/100th of the 17.5 million, it'll pay this fee 100 times over.
Thank you. That's what, and Ms. Molina, just so you know, the 17.5 million that we received that is in this year's budget was truly voluntary on his part.
I was going to let you take credit for that, Madam Chair.
Well, I will take credit always, thank you, but credit always should be shared appropriately. And I never hesitate to do that. If, you are very successful in something, you should be recognized for that. And it really was, and his associate Corin was very instrumental in that as well.
I've met her. So, but my point again is the fact that we feel like we're unraveling a ball here in the middle of committee when all this should have been said up front. I would have appreciated it. I think our representatives, all of our representatives would appreciate it. And I think our constituents would appreciate that we're upfront with them instead of sort of slowly unraveling the fact that he brought in the 17 million, slowly unraveling that he does have minority associates with him, slowly unraveling the fact that there are 4 other elected officials who have hired him on. I'm glad it's here, but I prefer that it would have been out without us having to ask questions and it's slowly revealed. So
And
again, you're not going to change my opinion on it right now. I understand your
that's fine.
point.
That's
I
fine.
think that's great that you guys have a lobbyist, but again,
Yes.
I don't appreciate the way it was done, so I will abstain from your consensus.
And it was brought to the legislative committee over a period of time. This was discussed.
It was discussed as an RFP, RFQ. The fact that Dan Schulman left the city of Aurora because Mayor Irving decided to run for governor was not discussed at those
No,
meetings. So-
that actually comes, that we did discuss that in our last committee meeting. That's how this actually
So
really got its feet
So,
under it.
so your gift is not everybody else's gift, basically. Somebody lost him, somebody didn't want him anymore. So again, this is all, everybody has their point of view, and my point of view is I respectfully decline to take
That's-
consensus
yeah,
right now.
I respect that. Thank you. Yes.
Surges here. I just want to clarify that I am truly continuing the struggle when I ask a question, as I pointed out when Julie's discussion was up, I'm struggling with my acronym of the word county and the entirety that I intend that to be versus the county departments that we control versus the county elected officials. So when I ask a question, this is a reasonable cost at $7,500 or whatever the case may be to the county. I was assuming that that was the only cost. This is the first time that, and I think Mavis brought it up, that this is a multiplied cost that the individual is working not only for the county board, but also each of the electeds in a multiplier. So I just want to make sure to clarify that when I asked about the county, I meant the broad sweeping overarching county that included the elected officials. And that's a shortcoming of mine that I will continue to try and articulate better, but I don't want any misunderstanding. Michelle, I thought that was an overarching. I didn't realize this was cut up in the pie pieces and I was only looking at a piece. So I apologize about that and hope that clarifies anything.
All right, is everybody ready? I would just like your consensus. You have already approved a $25,000 budget line for this position in this year's budget. I'd like to expend $7,500 of the county's budget, the government center's budget for this. So,
Yes.
Mr. Shepro?
I will be joining Ms. Molina in abstaining from the consensus.
Okay, very good. Although you did support him previously, but that'll be fine. Thank you.
But I learned,
Madam Chair?
as many of
could
us
we ask
have, I've
Mr.
learned
Shepherd's
more
reason?
about what the deal is. And I'm not voting no, but I am abstaining.
Okay. Ms. Bates?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Shepherd's reasoning.
Well, I think that the functions, although he's not doing the same thing that these other organizations are, they're all related to legislative. And I think we should be examining the overall picture of how we're spending our money and issues. Again, this isn't 7,500. It's still all taxpayer money. And it's obviously more than that. I think we need somebody, but right now it doesn't really seem to me like there is much of a plan in place as to what to do. And the timing now is rather odd in the sense of what there is that needs to be done. I mean, I think many people seem to have a lot of questions that we aren't really sure of the answers. So again, I'm not voting no, but I do think at this point that I personally have a lot of questions that were just being answered today, including the point Ms. Bates brought up herself. So that's my reasoning.
Okay. All right, do I have consensus on this? We have 2 abstains?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. I will put forward the contract. I will make sure that we have our state's attorney review it and before it's signed. I've already sent it to her. She's already seen the original draft. I sent it to her again last night, asking her one more time to make sure that it's an appropriate contract to sign. I will then sign it and he will make sure once started, that he will be coming to the legislative committee for his reporting and allowing any of your questions to be answered about what his work is going to look like, what his advocacy is going to be, and what opportunities he's going to be bringing to Kane County.
Madam Chair Bates, please.
We are Mr. Shepro and then Ms. Bates.
I guess just to add to my concerns, and this is not unique to this contract. I have never liked the idea that the board approves something and the contract yet doesn't even exist.
I have it.
Okay, well, you have it, but I mean, we're voting on something that is yet to be actually completed and finished, and
You can read it later, yeah.
I can read it later after you've signed it.
I thought all we did was give consensus.
Yeah, you
to
did
move forward.
consensus,
We're not
yes, to move
voting on the
forward.
contract.
And vote on
Well,
Well,
we're not
it's- but
voting
it's
on the
under- yeah.
contract, and we're not going to vote on the
It's-
contract. Is that correct?
It's under the threshold, so we don't need to go to full board approval for this.
Okay, well,
And it's nothing nefarious at all, Ms. Molina.
I'm on stack, please.
I didn't say anything, Madam Chair. I don't appreciate that you thinking I said anything. So,
Yeah,
so.
thank you. Yes, Ms. Martin.
I'm on stack, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry. Ms. Bates and then Mr. Martin.
Thank you. I am voting yes today with the hope that we will put out an RFQ, which I stated in the committee meeting that I thought we should put out an RFQ in the beginning, but this is a good opportunity. So I think we should go ahead with it and then do an RFQ. Thank you.
Mr. Martin.
I join with Mavis's statement, only I'm changing the word hope to expectation. There were a lot of valid issues raised in this conversation during this meeting that I think ought to be addressed in a timely fashion so that we can, in fact, I don't want to use the wrong word. We want the train on the right track, and we want to have offered decent consideration of these points. So if there's a timeline that needs to be met to meet the concerns, my expectation is that we'll meet it. Today, I'm supporting it because it sounds like, according to the committee chairman, that we may have a good opportunity here. But I think the board ought to have the entitlement to analyze this and our other memberships and do so in a timely fashion so that we're not A, wasting money, and B, so that we're have a proper and orderly process.
Perfect. So thank you for that. So thank you for the consensus. And I believe you have your marching orders that we can talk about, perhaps at the next meeting, legislative committee meeting, we can analyze the three opportunities that the membership organizations we are joining, what the benefit is of each one of those. If we need to remove our membership from one or any of them. And then move forward then with putting together an RFQ.
All three are noted.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for your feedback and robust conversation. Is there any new business?
Other than as previously stated.
Old business. Transitioning into new.
Madam
business.
Chair.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, pull it out real quick. From our county clerk's office, I think I sent you a copy of that little piece that was in their report about the foreclosures
Yes,
and the evictions.
yes.
So I think that we should be aware of that whatever that number is. I'm not sure what it means because it says impact
Mhm.
is a word that they put in there. So, but just want to let the board know that there is something out there that looks like it's taking place. And this was put in the 2021 annual report, end of the year report. And it just says 102,431 cases pending awaiting impact for evictions and foreclosures. But we don't really know what that means. So I just want to make the board aware.
Yeah, we
as
don't
new
know what
business.
that means.
And that's from the clerk's office? Yes.
Could you repeat those numbers, please?
Make sure I get it right.
And Mr. Ford, could you please speak closer to your
Oh,
microphone?
I'm sorry. 102,431 cases
Where?
In
Kane County.
Kane County. We don't know the region.
There's 100,000 foreclosures in King County?
That can't be right.
That can't be right. There's hardly
Let me
100,000
read
houses.
exactly how it's written in here.
102,431 cases pending, awaiting impact. Eviction and foreclosures. That's what it says. I can't answer any questions.
102000,
102,431.
Holy smoke. In Kane County?
Evictions may not mean foreclosures. Evictions may be apartments.
But there's hardly even 100,000 houses in Kane County. 500,000 people, there's only 200,000.
I don't, that's my point. I don't know what that number means.
Mr. Ford, can you specify what report from what you're referring to?
It's the end of the year report from 2021 annual report.
But which
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of the
It's-
circuit clerk?
The circuit clerk.
Okay.
The Ron's taking the lead to find that out for us.
Right.
Please look into this.
Hire a lobbyist to help me.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
All those
But
folks that get back.
Isn't it possible that all of the stay orders and everything that got entered during the pandemic could have resulted in a lot of stale
Or multiple.
data being in the court system right now? And I think it needs to, I think the smoke needs to settle. That's not the right term. Smoke needs to disappear before we can really look at it and know what we've got, because there were whole bunches of foreclosures. I mean, lawsuits get filed and then they can sit there until hell freezes over. So the fact that some landlord filed to protect his interest may not mean that there's actually a pending viable foreclosure. They just may have not bothered to dismiss it. So there could be a multitude of reasons that we won't know for a while until the pandemic related stuff begins to disappear. But lawsuits, the fact that they're filed doesn't mean that they're still being pursued.
I believe we should just ask, perhaps, Mr. Ford, you could ask the clerk for clarity on this, so to drill down. Okay.
Maybe it's a typo.
No, I don't.
I think Mr. Martin's going to be right.
I would hope so. I would
Remember,
hope
there was
so.
a stay for like 2 years of all the cases.
It'll be a big backlog of stuff that's just not purged yet. We'll see.
I will also make a phone call and see what, if we can drill down on what these numbers mean. It's really important that these kinds of numbers are not put out without having some explanation. If we should be concerned, or if it's, as Mr. Martin says, it's just being held up in court without being dismissed. Is there anything else? All righty. Let's go on to our preliminary agenda, please. And Mr. Shepro, as Vice Chair, could you please bring forward item number 1?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I will defer to Mr. Caius, who is our best informed individual on that subject, if he is willing to do so.
If I can find it here. Working. Okay, well. I can't seem to get it up here. Find it. I apologize. Well, this is I believe this is the list of the external projects, and they're listed in the
Grand Victoria.
for the Grand Victoria Riverboat. It's been as an annual process, I'd like to thank the staff for presenting this to us. They organized the uh, contributions, the requests for throughout the county. And as a committee, we go through it, and we've gone through 2 meetings and reviewed thoroughly the input and the suggestions from the staff on the requests. And we're submitting them to have them approved by the county board. And I would like to list them, but I guess I can't seem to find them on my computer, so
I
we have it.
think we can
There
bring
you
it up
go.
on the screen.
All right. This is, and Mr. Ford's on our committee as well. Yeah.
You trying to-
This is what we've approved over as a committee for our contributions to those applicants for the Grand Victoria Riverboat. And they will be distributed in January, I believe, for the next allotment.
Well, they range from, I'm looking at it, from robotics to accessible bus, ADA and sensory items, to
Food pantries.
Food pantries. yeah.
English tutoring for adults.
Our 3 E's, which have traditionally been used to identify the appropriateness of the application, have been environment, education, and economic development. And we as a committee felt that each one of these contributed in a significant way. Of course, we had I think we had $2.1 million requested, something like that. And we had $580,000 to distribute. So nobody got everything that they asked for. And a number of them, which were probably worthy of contribution, just didn't qualify under the standards that we have reviewed them. A question, Mr. Berman?
Well, as a member of the committee,
And Mr.
Berman here, the request from everyone is certainly much more than we give them. And I'm sure that some of those projects that we support may never come to fruition. It'd be nice if we had a different method of doing it rather than dispersing it amongst a bunch. Maybe we should select an individual one and give them what they asked for in most cases. So that's just my comments from the committee.
It's always been, and each year it's been I think, and I thank the committee as well for going through these. It's a lengthy process. And once you've read all of the applications, because there were a number of applications, you can see there, here we have 22 allotments out of 80 or something like that from new and existing that have already been asked for and donated in the past. But again, yeah, the total was $588,231.
Madam Chair Ford.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Ford.
there are some cases where if they don't get what they're asked for, then they're not, they don't have the money to do the project. And the staff goes back to see whether or not what we give them benefits them or not. So each one of these has been contacted by staff to determine whether or not these funds are feasible for them to do what it is they're trying to accomplish.
So these are not matching funds.
No.
No.
No, part of the criteria and the criteria we use to weigh these is just how much they're expecting to have the riverboat to allotment pay for the entire project that they're suggesting. And a number of them already have community support, which strengthens our position in that they're asking for that they may be matching in that they're expecting to raise say 50% from other sources, or even 90%. We cover a real small part. In that case, CASA, ours is a very small donation compared to the entire thing. But they're all definitely worthwhile causes. Only problem is that we don't have the riverboat donating to us the $12 million that they did 20 years ago.
Right.
They only got us. So, and then and again, just to remind the board that this is separate from the internal grants that we will be, we begin this next month on deliberating, our committee begins to deliberate on. And I apologize for the slow start this morning.
Mr.
Just
Ford.
one more thing, Mr. Ford. I'll be voting for this, but I have to sustain on the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, okay, very good. Mr. Shepro?
Thank you. My impression is, I think Mr. Caius alluded to, is that over the years, not only has the pot of money actually shrunk, but I believe also that the percentage for external grants has gone down, if not steadily, compared to what it was at the beginning. And the internal grants have gone up. And I just offer that without any editorial comment.
And there's a slight offset too, that happens to work out with the just the bookwork and the way it's allotted to the county versus the external grants. And we did see a pretty significant increase in the amount that was given to us by the riverboat grant, by the riverboat for the grants. I don't know, is Mr. Berger online? He might be able to add more to it since it's administered by Mr. Berger's department.
I do not see Mr. Berger online.
Well, I think kudos to his department because they handle a lot of grant money and they were able to make this a relatively easy procedure. I understand that at one time when they first started doing this, they just threw them out on the table and then argued for days. And we do have a fairly organized process that accounts for those three things, the three E's, as well as just the community support and then the amount of how much is contributed by other parts of the county or other sources, as well as the need. We look at the need for the county. So it's not frivolous.
Yes.
Davis, to Mr. Berman's point, I'm not a member of this standing committee or ad hoc committee currently, but it's been my experience over many years of being part of this that part of the criteria in judging them is strength of their budgets and whether they're going to exist or not, continue on. I can't quantify it for you right now, Dale, but I believe our track record has been very solid in that supporting a failing effort so that we put money into something that never came to fruition, as you expressed some concern about.
Well, no, the big thing was that, they're asking for a significant amount of money and maybe we give them 10%, maybe we give them 50% of what they request, but their project they're all the projects, everything they have is really worthwhile. It'd be nice, if we could just give one so they could, complete their project rather than just giving 10% to whether that helps them or doesn't help them. I don't know. It's a tough thing, but I can see where we had more money in the past and it was much better to do it or more benevolent, I guess, but I think we certainly have plenty of requests.
Madam Chair Bates, please.
And we'll continue to do so. Mr. Martin?
Do we have a motion yet?
So I will move that we pass this.
Thank you.
I'll second it and ask that you call the question.
Very good. Thank you.
Very good.
Bates, I have a question.
Ms. Bates, I'm sorry, we're moving forward with this, but thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford, Froz,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro.
Shepro, yes.
You're up.
Yes,
Yes.
all good projects. And thank you, committee, for your work on this. Very worthy. All right, Mr. Berman, Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our consent agenda, if there's any of the 18 items we'd like to select out and do independently. Other than that, I would ask for a motion to approve them. And
Mr.
we'll go
Berman,
through and discuss. Yes, sir.
I'd like to take 9 and 10 off the consent agenda.
All right.
9 and 10.
Any others? Yes.
2.
I just have a question on 17, on the farmland lease. Just a question.
Yeah.
Are you able to-
Well,
And there was number 2, Mr. Shepro?
Yes.
2,
Are we pulling 17?
17 is, there's a question, so it's being pulled.
You know, yeah,
well, we can go through in each one of them and discuss
Yeah.
or,
no.
No, there's only 4 questions. Just,
well,
Only 4.
given-
You can make another pot of coffee.
Discussion about the fertilizer.
Do you want a motion for 1 through 18 with the exception of 2, 9, 10, and 17?
yes.
So moved.
So moved.
second Surges.
Second.
Stop, Mark.
All right. If there's no further discussion on that, clerk, please call the roll.
Damn you.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
You're up.
Yes.
yes.
All right, I'd like a motion for item 2, authorizing the reorganization of the building management department and
So moved,
creation of 3
Surges.
new positions and the budget adjustment.
Davis, second.
Had a discussion.
I think, Mr. Shepro, you had a question.
I just thought maybe that deserved a little bit more explanation as to that's a massive amount of things happening with that.
Roger, do you want to comment on this?
Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep.
This is Roger Fonstock with Building Management. So the resolution that you have in front of you is directly addressing a staffing issue and a problem that we've had with meeting the needs of maintenance in the buildings, in particular the Judicial Center campus. But what we're looking at is the organizational chart. Blair, if you could go down a couple of slides, that might visually help understand better. And you don't have the luxury of having the previous organizational chart, but the previous organizational chart had one director of maintenance, and that director of maintenance was responsible for 30 buildings across the geography of 7 cities, about 1 million square feet of buildings. And just flat out, the problem is that it's just too much for one person to really be able to address the office holders, department heads, and the people. So what we're trying to do is divide it into 2 directors of maintenance. One would be focused on the government center and the other buildings, and one would be focused on the Judicial Center campus. The other area that we're trying to improve is an area for an office manager, which is listed in the job descriptions. And a lot of that has to do with the organization of the business of the building department. I think, as many of you have experienced, there's been a challenge with how they connect RFPs, quotes, bids, purchases, all the invoices, all the accounts payable, payroll, any number of business types of items that happen in that silo needs, some more direction and a little bit higher level of experience, especially in the contracting and RFPs. So we're looking at hiring an office manager or director type of position for that. We called it office manager, but I think, for this purpose, they're going to be managing at least 4 or 5 people probably within that division. And then the last part is to balance out the maintenance techs. We're trying to get 5 maintenance techs per maintenance director, along with a maintenance engineer. And right now you have a huge gap in the maintenance techs. There's probably 5 or 6 vacancies that we're trying to fill out of those 10. So we're looking at compensation and how that plays out. We posted the jobs already. We advertised them with some of the different salaries that we're proposing, and we actually have a lot of responses, which is good. We have people that want these positions. We published them at the old rates for the last 2 or 3 months, and we got literally no responses. Barely a high school graduate would even apply. So we're looking forward to that. There's 3 new positions in the resolution. The budget is for the remainder of this year, which is 6 months. We're looking forward to trying to put this in place to get started. It is a process. It's not an event. we're going to be putting these things in place, and it's going to take some time to get them acclimated to the buildings and understanding, what all the priorities and needs are. But I think that, with this structure, we'll be better suited to deal with the building maintenance. One of the other challenges that we have, which you notice in the office manager column, there's custodial and grounds and those types of functions. We still have a lot of work to do in that area. On the agenda today, there's a contract with Peterson Cleaning for the cleaning services, which is custodial. It's a huge amount of money, and we struggle with that particular service every year. There's a person that's going to be dealing with specifically custodial and grounds and those types of contracting things. But that's another consideration that we're going to be talking about in the very near future, is how do we handle the custodial part of what building maintenance is responsible for. It's a lot of work, and it's very hard to get people that are consistent, reliable, and do that type of work. So that's probably on the next iteration of how we organize building management. Any other questions? I'd be happy
Yes,
to
we have
try.
Mr.
First one, I have 3 items. First one is just, Roger, a thank you for taking this on above all your other duties and doing such a yeoman's work on this. Second thing, just a piece of criticism, constructive. While I love the breakdown, again, I would like to see, this is what the old budget was, this is what the new proposal is. It
Yeah,
just
that-
helps me stay grounded. And then thirdly, I do believe, and I've said this before, that while this is an enormous number, I believe that there's going to be ancillary savings
Sure.
by some of the mistakes or errors or flaws that we had in the system before that needs to get baked back into this number. And while at face value, this looks like a huge number, I think when you factor everything else in, this is actually going to be extremely manageable.
So if you want to see the full numbers, the numbers are in the administration committee packet. They were
Nope, I just
presented.
wanted them in a summary, like really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah,
So-
there is a slide for that. I
Needy.
don't know where the whole presentation deck got cut from executive 654 pages, but
Summary, there's a lot you've seen today, a
Sure.
lot of times where
sure.
there's
So
numbers
the
that
net-
get missed.
The net difference in the budget was about 400 and some change $1,000 for a whole year. And then net difference for the remainder of the year is about 180, I think.
My point being 400,000 and we blow up a boiler, those outweigh each other pretty darn quick.
And
so.
how much was the boiler to
600.
replace?
We're probably somewhere close to $700,000 for
I rest
the
my case.
boiler issues. So.
Absolutely. Ms. Molina had her hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to again thank Roger in person, because I think the fact that he was able to kind of take all of this under his wing in the last few months and turn around and give us an example of how something can be run properly. I think it's worth what we pay Roger. We could have gone out and looked for a bid and had somebody come back and analyze and review this, and 3 years later come up with the same idea. So I appreciate this so much. And yeah, I think the amount of deferred maintenance that we've had and the amount of money that we're going to be hopefully saving in the future is kind of where I'm at. It might cost a little bit more right now, but we have to really invest in the people that work for us. So thank you, Roger.
Thanks.
Yes.
Shepro, I would echo the comments from Mr. Surges and Ms. Molina. But Roger, on this chart, which are the 3 new positions?
So the position would be where the blue arrow is. There's the 2 directors of maintenance. We used to have 1.
Okay.
So there'll be 2 there. And then to the far right where it says office manager.
That's
Yeah, that person. And then under the director of maintenance, one of those maintenance tech positions, tech's 5. There's 5 of those in each group. That's kind of a balancing act depending on what work needs to be done. You move 6 to one area, 4 to another, you move them back and forth and balance out the workload. The Judicial Center has a lot of challenges right now. They do state inspections for the juvenile center and some of the facilities there, which have a lot higher requirement for the inspection than maybe some of our just general office buildings. We're custodial care of people. It's a little different.
Thank you for the lucid and detailed explanation too, Roger. Thank you.
Very good. As we know, maintenance in Kane County has been it just needs some improvements. It needs some improvements. And it has been a very challenging my knowledge of the last year and a half that I've been in office, that there has been it has not been fully filled as far as our maintenance positions. And there's been some issues with lack of trained staff, and this should address all of it, or at least help to mitigate the problem.
So is there a motion on the floor?
There is a motion.
Yes.
Yes. So
Call
let's
the
call
question.
call the vote, please.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Lena, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Burgess, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Europe.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, items 9 and 10.
Moving on, item number 9, authorizing the contract for King County janitorial supplies. We need a motion to approve.
Sanchez moves.
Caius, second.
Discussion.
Yeah, Tempe here. My question is that I noticed on these two bids that there were, in one in particular, there were half a dozen firms that applied to it. And most of them were eliminated because they couldn't handle all the items on the list. But at the same time, with the way distribution has changed, if we were to use Amazon as an example to purchase all of these items, we'd probably save a decent amount of funds and wouldn't have to go through a bidding process. Has that been considered, or am I just out of sorts on this?
I stayed up here.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is Roger from Building Management again. The prospect of using Amazon is real. We use them for a lot of supplies and a lot of different things. They are under a joint purchasing agreement. I think it's US Communities is the agreement. It's one of the agreements that are out there. So we could certainly look at that. We do have a challenge in getting bid responses with all of our requirements and all of the competitive buying that's going on. There's lots of work to be done. And so less complicated processes to get the work seem to be favored by contractors and vendors. And so some contractors and vendors just choose not to bid on certain projects with government because they can get easier work in the private sector. So, I think that's something we could look at. Some of the cleaning products, I know there was a question about the organic or maybe environmentally friendly cleaning products. We're getting lists of those, but those are all pretty standard cleaning products that we've used over the years. And I know that they have certain requirements for environmental safe for government buildings. But again, getting the supply of those chemicals, we inventory them, we have them in buildings, and the supplier provides those according to our schedule. So it would be interesting to see if you could buy the same thing or the same quality on Amazon and get the supply. We could look at that.
Again, I wasn't trying to make life more difficult
at
for
it.
people, but it looked to me like a decent number of those items were very generic
Yes.
and purchasing on the open market, but at the same time, we have labor costs when we go and do that.
And I think some of this stuff ships locally versus shipping interstate. So we get low cost of delivery. So a lot of the times that's part of it too.
Okay, well, that was my question. I
Okay.
didn't want to
We'll look at it.
belabor the process.
Are there any
Any
other
other discuss-
questions? on
Madam
this?
Chair?
We have two, Ms. Bates and then Mr. Shepro.
Thank you, Roger, for looking into the environmental of those supplies. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Shepro.
I was going to ask Mr. Tepe if, having heard the explanation, if he would accept a friendly amendment to cover item 10 as well as item 9.
Yes.
Was that an affirmation on that?
He said yes.
Is that a,
Actually, I believe it was Mr. Sanchez's motion.
Oh, I agree. And also, I want to clarify, is this a motion, or was the intention to put this on the consent agenda, but we just wanted to discuss it? Okay, so that's the motion. And I agree to include number 10 as well.
Okay.
And as the second, I agree. Caius.
One is, we can't order number 10 through Amazon.
Yeah. I wish. No.
Give it some time. Give it a few years.
So if we do not want to discuss the services, the human services, rather than just the supplies, we can have the friendly amendment.
Yes, I
That'll be
really wanted
fine.
to discuss the supplies.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, very good. All right, any other questions? Please, this would be for number 9 and number 10.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Kirk.
Yes.
All right, continuing on, item number 17, authorizing the extension of the 20-acre farmland lease agreement. Do we have a
Caius
mo-
move.
I would move. Kenyon would move.
Caius second.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Yes, Ms. Winnicki.
Just a quick question, Dale. Is this the farmland that's on the old Fabian site where the jail was? Do we
Across
know?
from the jail. The,
It's-
it's 38.
Yes.
So this is Roger from Buildings again.
Hey,
The-
Roger
the-
knows
I should just stay up
everything.
here. The property is 25 acres north of Route 38
Okay.
in St. Charles Township.
Oh.
It is the lot north of the Judicial Center and south of the neighborhood that's been farmed for years. We basically have an incumbent farmer that was farming it, and we renewed the agreement at the same rate. It's 25 acres and 20 acres of tillable property. So
So does it include any of the old jail site at all?
no, it's
No,
all
none
on
of it.
that
Okay.
property north of 38, Route 38 in St. Charles Township.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this, Ms. Winnicki?
No, that's it. Thank
Oh,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis, Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Yes.
Kirk.
Yes. Mr. Frost.
Includes,
Oh, thank you. Didn't mean to cut you off, sir.
Speaking transportation report. Madam Chair, I have 11 items. I'd like to move all 10 and ask for a second.
Kenyon second.
Kenyon seconds. Item number 1 is a routine adopt the highway applicant approval. We have 1 new and 1 renewal. Item 2 is approve an agreement with Epstein and Sons out of Chicago. This is to update our Kane County bicycle and pedestrian plan. $212,309. This was last done in 2012, so it is 10 years old at this point. And one of the products of this plan is the maps that you're probably familiar with that we hand out that show all the bicycle paths and pedestrian paths. Item 3 is approving the planning liaison agreement. This is with CMAP and the Kane County Council of Mayors. KDOT provides planning staff to both those organizations, and this agreement compensates Kane County for their time. Item 4 is approve an amendment to an IGA with the state of Illinois. This is for the Orchard and Route 30 intersection improvement project, and this is, accepts additional funds and reduces the Kane County share of costs. So it's a good thing. Item 5, approve a Phase 2 engineering services agreement with Trans Systems Corporation, $420,749. This is for the Bunker Road Extension Project near the LaFox train station, with construction to begin this year, finally. Items 6 and 7 are routine approval of township resurfacing projects. They're reviewed by the county engineer. One is in Big Rock and one is in Hampshire Township. These were requested by the road district commissioners. Item 8 is approve a contract for construction with Martam Construction, $473,521. This is a stream bank restoration project near Route 25 and the Stearns Road corridor. Item 9 approves the 2022 pavement striping contract. This is with AC Pavement Striping out of Elgin, a longtime vendor to the county, $400,368. Item 10 approves a contract for construction. This is for the Bliss Main Fabian intersection improvement and extension to Martam Construction, $11,899,396. This is a big item, been under design and consideration for over a decade, and we'll be breaking ground on that one also. Finally, item 11 is to approve the acquisition of some right-of-way, 5.94 acres. This is out at Doberman Road and Route 30 near Big Rock, for the Doberman Road extension and bridge over the railroad tracks there. And that's in the amount of $115,000. That's all I have.
Okay, very good. If I can make one comment, I think all of us who have driven down Main Street, all the way down to Fabian, have noticed that the old barn and corn cob storage facility is now down. And it's different. It's different now. I love that old building. And it was such a joy to drive by it. So it will be missed. It will be missed. And I understand progress is necessary, but it'll just be missed.
It was the same way all.
So are there any questions on this? None? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Bras,
Fries, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Bias, yes.
Martin,
Martin, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis,
Happy, yes.
Davis, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Hero.
Yes.
Passed.
Okay, very good. I believe that there is no need for executive session that I'm aware of.
Lawyers here.
There's no,
Right motion.
okay, hold on a second. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
Uh,
So we have one.
Not so much a committee report, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify Mr. Ford's question regarding the eviction cases. I did receive a message from our clerk. The cases were filed. That doesn't mean that they're being granted. So Mr. Martin is correct, as always, most of the time. People file cases all the time. It doesn't mean that 99.9% of the time. Cases are filed, but it doesn't mean that they're being granted. But I think it's something that we need to keep looking at, because obviously if multiple properties are receiving eviction notices, we did have the moratorium in place. So we want to keep an eye on that. But I just wanted to let you know, usually it is, as Mr. Martin says, might be for the same property, just multiple cases being filed for the eviction notice.
Madam Chair, Bates, please.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Okay, so I also received a note on this, and I believe it meant that it's all cases pending awaiting impact evictions and foreclosures. So it's other cases besides just convictions, evictions and foreclosures. So there's a couple of things going on here at the same time.
I think thank you both for getting a response from our clerk, but let's just drill down a little bit to have some clarification.
I'll have Teresa speak on it at our next judicial and public safety meeting. So if you want to stay tuned for that, she'll provide exact.
Thank you
Okay,
very
great.
much.
But Mr. Martin is correct. Again.
Most of the time.
Never get out of the room.
Yeah.
His head just swelled. Oh, there we go. Yes.
The Ag Committee would like to report that June is Dairy Month. So when if you think of dairy, think of ice cream, cheese, and yogurt. So, and it's also take a dairy farmer to lunch. month.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, there. I was waiting for the highlight.
Self-serving declaration. Okay.
Is that taking you out to lunch often
Throughout the month.
throughout the month?
Yeah, on a rotating basis. Sorry, there's a sign-up sheet, so just stop and see.
Okay, we've heard from Judicial
Madam-
Public Safety. We heard from Agriculture.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Admin, just
Hold
add,
on.
Caius from
Please, Mr.
admin, just to
Caius.
thank you to the board for supporting the big changes that are going on through the admin committee, which is the maintenance department. I think that we're making great strides forward
Okay.
on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tepe.
Yeah, public service. You may have noticed that early voting is going on now. And voting will be starting on June 13th. But the key thing is that the presentation that was made in the public service meeting by Mr. Pollack on the mail-in voting and
all of the security around that. That presentation is up on the YouTube channel. So if you're getting questions about that, you might try to direct people to that YouTube. Hopefully they'd watch all of it and understand. So thank you.
Very good. Is there anybody else? Yes.
Vern, in relation, oh, I'm so sorry. Sir, just here, Vern, in relation to that presentation, my understanding, there was quite a dust up yesterday at one of the centers. I don't have any details on that, and I need to, before I speak further on it, but my understanding is there was some unpleasantness, and I'll be reaching out, Mr. Pollock, today. Was it at the Aurora Center, I believe?
Oh, it wasn't the water at Dundee.
I don't know,
Was
I
not
just-
in Dundee. no.
I didn't hear about it.
No, Mr. Shepro.
I believe Mr. Sturgis is referring to an incident that took place with an election judge that did not understand the legal rights of poll watchers, and it had to be taken in hand by sending somebody from the clerk's office to instruct that judge. And I too will be following up with Mr. Cunningham's office on that question.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you both with that.
Bates, please, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Energy and Environmental Committee is moving forward with our climate action plan, and we have broken ground at the solar site.
Excellent.
So we're
Excellent.
moving forward.
Very good. Wonderful. I heard that there were some volunteers who are planting trees.
Yes, we had some wonderful volunteers out there planting 10 trees and digging holes and doing great work.
Yeah, and I think, how many of our board members participated in that? Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Somebody called a special meeting, so some of us couldn't go plant trees.
We planting trees around the solar. Yep.
Yes, yes, we're beautifying along Bricker Road.
On their big shade trees.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it doesn't go well in my head. I'm sorry.
It's
Out a little
Brisher
closer
Road.
to the road.
Brisher, thanks.
Brisher.
I'm trying to learn how to say that right. Brisher.
For sure. Okay, very good. Is there anybody else?
I think
I
Mr.
hear none.
Kenyon has a motion.
I think,
It's time that I move to adjourn.
thank you very much, sir.
You have a second.
Thank you, Mr. Davos. Clerk, please call the roll. That's a voice. We're all in
That's a
favor.
voice vote.
Aye.
Aye.